Hello, in this video, I'm going to take you through getting set up for an online lesson. I have a short presentation that will make this very easy to understand. Let's dive right in. So, 4 steps to getting set up for online lessons. I'm going to go through each one of these and I'm going to break them down one at a time. So, the first thing we're going to do is check your internet connection and upgrade if you need to. The second thing, we'll talk about choosing a device and getting set up with the proper viewing angle. Third, we'll talk about your sound with internal and external microphones. And finally, 4, we'll take a look at how to set Zoom up specifically for music lessons. Let's take a look at your internet connection. If you don't know what your internet speeds are, and you should have at least 15 upload and download, you can head over to speedtest.net and run a quick speed test. If you don't have quite enough internet, contact your provider and see if some adjustments can be made. Oftentimes you'll have a higher download speed than upload simply because a lot of people are into streaming movies and that sort of thing, gaming maybe, and you don't necessarily have to put out more. But when you're doing online lessons, not only are you receiving video, but you're sending it out. So bumping up your upload speed will probably make a big, well, I shouldn't say probably, will make a big difference in how things go. Okay, so once you have your internet connection figured out, some other things you could think about doing would be to place the router close to where you're having lessons. You can connect your computer to the internet with an Ethernet cable, which is something I do. Even though I have very strong internet, I do run an Ethernet cable and it boosts what I get out of that internet service by quite a bit. Also, I would suggest limiting the number of users in the home, people using the internet while you're having lessons. It just tends to spread the bandwidth a little too much and can really bog things down. And if all else fails, if you're really up a creek, you can use cellular data for lessons. You can create a mobile hotspot. All of these things are definitely possible. Once you have your internet squared away, it's time to choose your device. And my advice would be to use the best device that is available to you. I would strongly recommend a laptop or computer, even desktop. That would be the best option. The next choice would be an iPad or tablet of some sort. And the last choice would be a smartphone. I would strongly suggest you save this for emergencies. The screen is just too small, and even though I have taught many lessons where students use a smartphone, it's just not going to give you the best experience by a long shot. So if you can set up, otherwise I strongly recommend doing so. Once you have your device, this is the angle that I'm going to need to see your hands. So if you notice, it's to the side of the piano, and it could be from either side. It doesn't have to be the right side necessarily. I can see just above the keys a little bit. I can see the full keyboard. And I might also add that if you're a little bit more advanced and we're working on fingering, I may need a view that's a little bit more looking over your shoulder so that I can see what fingering you're using. But we can work on that as we need to. To help you get this angle, I would recommend purchasing a tablet stand or laptop stand or even phone holder if you do have to go that route. This way it's going to be a lot easier to adjust the view and get one that works for you. In this next slide, you'll see I have some holders. You can go on Amazon and find something that will hold your laptop, your iPad, or even your phone. Now, if you don't have one of these, you aren't able to get one, it is possible to get by with a table, chair, desk, some piece of furniture. I taught during the pandemic quite a bit online, and I had people use anything from ironing boards to step ladders. I wouldn't necessarily recommend those, but they did get the job done at the time. Basically, we are trying to achieve the angle that you see here. If I can see this while you're online, I'm going to be able to give you all the coaching that you need. Let's see if we can move on to the next slide. The next thing we need to consider is setting up your sound. So you're going to need to be able to transmit good audio to your teacher, hopefully me, so that I can help you learn. If at all possible, please try to limit the other noise in your home. It's amazing what these microphones can pick up. It's great that we can hear the piano as much as we can, but it is unbelievable what else it can pick up. So if you can have other people in the home, use other rooms or take conversations outside, that's always best. Dogs barking, just various things going on in the home. If you can limit that in your lesson area, we're all going to have a much better experience. We need to talk about settings as well on your computer or laptop. And if you use this, then you're going to want to go to your sound settings and make sure that your internal microphone is all the way up. A lot of times, if you have a new computer or one you just haven't adjusted this on, a lot of times that sound setting is going to be on the low side. And in that case, I really won't hear what's going on your side. And that is not going to help. So for the highest quality of online lessons, you may also want to consider purchasing an external microphone. An external microphone will allow your teacher to hear details and nuances that a built-in device may not always pick up. Now, I have a pretty strong microphone here. I use a Blue Yeti. It's a little bit more on the expensive side because obviously this is what I do for a living. You could get something a little less expensive. A Blue Snowball might be a good option as an external mic if you find that what you have in your computer just isn't cutting it. And a little trial and error may go a long way in figuring that out. The final thing we need to do is set up for Zoom lessons. Now, I use Zoom lessons for piano because it provides the best quality and it allows me to show you things that I can't using other platforms. And I have tried a number of other platforms, but I have come back to Zoom and I think it's going to give you the best quality. Now, I have Zoom configured in such a way as to optimize specifically for piano lessons. And this setup on your end is just a matter of a few clicks. I will show you how to adjust your settings for both iPad and computer. So let's start with the iPad. So if you have an iPad, it might look something like this. And what we're going to do is just go over to Zoom. You'll see a screen that looks something like this. And there isn't much we need to change for an iPad. If you look in the lower left corner, you might see these 3 dots. I've kind of highlighted those. And if you want to go ahead and click on those, and then here it shows it a little bit more. This is going to bring up your meeting settings, which I can make a little larger. And basically, we're going to look for audio. And under audio, I've highlighted use original audio. We're going to want to turn this setting on. Zoom has a way of blocking background information because Zoom is by default set up for voices, for people to be able to talk back and forth, and it likes to cut out any background information. However, Zoom doesn't really know the difference between background noise and your piano. So what we need to do is enable that original sound so that it's not blocking anything and your piano sound is going to come through. Now on an iPad, you're going to need to do this before your meeting. So make sure you do this before your lesson. And then once we do get to your lesson, we're going to look in the upper right corner and you should see those 3 dots again with more. And then you're going to want to click, I have it highlighted in red, Enable Original Sound. Once you do this, you'll be all ready for lessons on your iPad. Now for setting up your computer, once again, we'll open Zoom and we're going to go to the settings, which in this case is the little gear symbol in the upper right corner. So you're going to want to click that. And then we're going to look on the left side. There'll be a whole list and we're going to look for audio. That's the first thing we're going to click. This will bring you to your audio settings. First, we are going to uncheck automatically adjust microphone volume. Okay, there's that Zoom again trying to block the background noise. Once we have unchecked that, we're going to check low where it says suppress background noise. We want that low, so Zoom is only taking out those more faint background noises and not cutting out your piano. The most important setting is to go to where it says music and professional audio. And we are going to actually check 4 different things here. We're going to check the first one that says show in meeting option to enable original sound. And then we're going to enable all 3 options under here: high fidelity music mode, echo cancellation, and stereo audio. Whoops. And then once you are in your lesson, you're going to see this little green badge. And every time you start your Zoom lesson, it's going to pop up with original sound off. Now you're going to want to check that so that it says on. And it's just a matter of one quick click when you enter into your Zoom meeting for your lesson. And you will have to do this every time you sign into a lesson. Now, sometimes for some bizarre reason, Zoom can just automatically shut this off partway through a lesson. It's not a big deal. You can usually tell right away, and it's just a matter of clicking it once again. I haven't actually had that happen too often, but it can. So that really is all there is to it. This is going to ensure that every time we sign into an online lesson, we both get the best possible audio. Yay, right? This means we are ready for your lesson. So just to recap very quickly, 4 steps that you're going to do to be ready. Step 1 is check your internet connection and upgrade the internet if needed. Step 2, choose your device and set it up with the proper viewing angle. Remember to use the best device available to you. Step 3 is set up your sound and internal and external microphone. And step 4 is adjust your Zoom settings and optimize for music lessons. At this point, I hope you're going to love learning online, and I'm sure you're going to have all kinds of fun. I really look forward to seeing you online and helping you get started in your musical journey. And hopefully this got you going. I will see you soon.